Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for attending. My name is Greg Boudreau, and I am the manager of the Coldwell Banker Los Altos office. We're fortunate today to have 4 wonderful agents from across our region here to talk to you about how you can learn to generate business during shelter in place. We're going to go through a few series of questions that the panelists will be answering for you. The live event Q&A is open. If you have questions for the panelists that you would like to have answered, please put those in the Q&A. Just a reminder for you all that your mics are muted during this. We'll just be using the Q&A, and this event will be recorded. So we'll get started here just in a moment. We appreciate you all being here. We hope this is going to be a fun event for you, and thank you all. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panelists. I'm actually going to let them introduce themselves. We're going to start with Francesca. The first question that we have for our panel is, could each of you just provide a short background of yourself and how long you've been in the business and what did you do before you started in real estate? Thanks. We'll start with Francesca.
Yeah, Francesca Lampert. I'm from the Menlo Park. I'm one half of the Johnson Lampert group with my partner, Bob Johnson. Hi, Bob, you're out there. I'm also the district chair for the Menlo Park Atherton district for the Silicon Valley Association of Realtors. So that's me. My background, I've been in this for 5 years now. Time flies. After graduating from Cal, I was working in children's literature and publishing, doing everything from sales, doing the editorial. Business is really what prepared me to run my own business.
Okay. Thanks, Francesca. Got a little issue with your mic, it sounds like, but that's okay. We'll work on that. Jarrett Fishpaw.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I also am half of a team. It's wonderful to have great support out there. My mother, Joanne Fishpaw, is somewhere out there in the audience. I see her waving right now. I prior to being in real estate, I had the opportunity to work for Cisco Systems, doing data analytics and predictive modeling for network downtime. I attended UC Santa Cruz and did a master's in applied economics and finance, and had a quick opportunity to serve on the city council in Los Altos. I've been in the business now for, I think it's been 5 years, and have enjoyed the opportunity to work with many of you.
Joanne Fishpaw is somewhere out there in the audience. I see her waving right now.
Great. Getting a little bit of feedback. Jessica, why don't you, same question. How long you've been in the business and what did you do before you started your career in real estate?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Jessica Wallace. I am in the Santa Cruz office. I am from Santa Cruz and went to UC Davis. And I've been in the business about over 15 years now. So before this, I was actually a tour guide in Rome. So most of my professional career has definitely been in real estate. I'm born and raised into that as well. So over 15 years in real estate here in Santa Cruz County.
Great. Nestor, introduction of where you were and where you are, excuse me, and what did you do before you got into real estate?
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Nestor Icaza. I am in the Coldwell Banker office in downtown San Mateo. I currently serve on the board of the SamCar Board of Directors. And before real estate, well, I got my license in 2016, but I've been full-time with Coldwell Banker since 2017. And before that, I worked as a project manager for a real estate development company that me and two friends started. So we were doing entitlements on land, rural land in Northern California. And that's what I did before switching over to sales.
Great, thank you. All right, so our first question for our panelists is all about mindset. And if we look at this, is that personally, I believe that all agents have adopted one of three strategies, right? Or mindsets, I should say, right? And if we use the analogy of we're all at a stoplight, and some agents are completely stopped and waiting for the light to change before they've moved forward. Others are revving their engines with one foot on the brake and the gas, just waiting for the light to change before they go. And then others have gone through the intersection and they've already moved forward. If I were to ask each of you where your mindset is right now, can you share that with the audience? And let's start, we'll start with Francesca first.
Yeah, is my sound better now?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
So my mindset, okay, I started probably like a lot of you, 2020, thinking it was going to be my best year ever. We started the year really strong and on track for our sale goals. And plus, ordinarily, open houses are my bread and butter. So obviously that's been an adjustment for me as well. And my goals and my lead generation, they look a lot different now, but we are adapting. We're following safety protocols and policies put in place, of course, and we're really trying to only show homes to super pre-qualified buyers after, they drive by, after they watch the virtual tours, after reviewing disclosures. So a lot of protocols put into place. I would say that COVID-19 has slowed me down a little bit and changed my processes, but it hasn't stopped me. So definitely going forward, full speed ahead, green light. But speaking of mindsets, I think that buyers have one of two mindsets. They're either like, let's wait this out, see what happens in the market, or let's jump in and find a deal. People are definitely at a higher stress and anxiety level right now, I know, but it's our job to make this painless and easy for them. And above all, it just looks a little different now. So, for example, my partner, Bob, he's been doing weekly grocery shopping for one of our clients. And honestly, I've never been so in touch with my past like I am right now. That's turning into, so again, just different, but we're still forging ahead.
Fantastic. Jarrett, which mindset best describes you right now?
Yeah, I enjoyed this question and thought that it was a unique way to approach the different mindsets that agents might have as the market changes. Being in law school, and I'm almost done with my third year of law school here, so
Nice.
Pulling up to a red light, I will admit that I have it ingrained in me to stop and take a look around and see what's going on. It might even be the case that as things were kind of unfolding, I would say that we even kind of pulled off to the side of the road and took a look around when the light was turning yellow even. As soon as Friday the 13th came around, we actually stopped doing open houses that we had even planned that day and restructured how we were going to help our clients get where they wanted to be, and also found that our clients really appreciated our efforts to think ahead and try to be as proactive as possible in changing the way we were marketing their properties to encourage as much of the virtual showing and minimize as much of the in-person contact. We also had some sellers that understood the value of foregoing some market preparation work that they otherwise would have done in a heartbeat had the market been what it was 3 months ago. And because of their decisions to forego that, they actually found that they accelerated their time to market, and they were delighted to have the assurance that they were in contract much sooner than if they had tried to wait until there was more certainty and availability of contractors in the marketplace to come and do work that currently is non-essential. So I would say, maybe we got out of the car and we walked down the sidewalk to continue our business in a new fashion, because the real estate market is always changing, just like it has before, and it will continue.
Great, thank you. Jessica, where is your mindset right now?
So I think when something really big like this happens, we all go through different stages, like the stages of grief, of denial and anger. I'm definitely at the acceptance phase of the moving forward phase. How do we work with this? How do we problem solve to get things done for our clients? Because a lot of them haven't stopped. A lot of them still need us to be there and figure this out for them. So we can't really just be at a stoplight right now. We've got to move forward and transition. So I'm at this point, I'm definitely at the acceptance phase and moving forward.
Awesome. Nestor, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I would say I'm definitely in number 3, but I throttle between 2 and 3 because you can't just go full bore and just continue to execute the same way you were. My business plan had a lot of social events and door knocking, things like that. So I can't just continue to carry that out. So then I have to kind of go back to 2 and kind of go back to the drawing board, restructure the business plan, and kind of rev and get ready to go once things open back up. But in terms of like taking care of my clients, I definitely still have to be the professional and got to kind of keep it cool as a cucumber and move things forward for them. So I would say definitely moving on and adapting to the new norm, everybody's calling it, right? So I think that's what you got to do.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to our next question. You were all asked to be part of this panel because you have either had a transaction, you've listed a property, kept a deal together, or done something else to generate business during SEP. Could you each share an example and the particulars of that transaction? And it's okay if that transaction hasn't closed yet, but I think the audience would like to hear what you've done and give us an example of what you've done. And we're going to start with Jarrett on this one.
Sure. I think that we in our most recent transactions, we've had a lot of changes that have been necessary, and we've tried to carry through those changes. We noticed that open house wasn't going to be something that would help advance our clients' needs pretty early on, and so the first thing we started doing was restructuring our video marketing and putting together interior video tours of homes to try to be able to accommodate the new important demand for virtual tours prior to in-person showings. We have one client that's in contract right now who was selling, who was actually living in their home, and they understood the need for the shelter in place. And so we sold the property sight unseen because we were not comfortable having any parties come and visit a property that was currently occupied when it seemed pretty straightforward in the county health order that wasn't permitted. And in order to accommodate the new need from the buyers to understand the property, the seller really took their time in filling out their disclosures. I think we had 24 pages of handwritten addendums to the TDS and SSC. We also had video walkthrough of the property as well. But it has taken a little bit of an adjustment, and I think that my ability to have a teammate that has been in the business for so many years has been a real asset to our ability to pivot, because my business partner has seen many different approaches to this business, and whether technology is here or isn't here, is reliant, is not, we're able to pull from a lot of experience there. I think the intergenerational aspect of our team helps as well, because something like editing videos together on iMovie is not much more than a quick project for me, and uploading it to YouTube or something like that I'm familiar with. Whereas if I had to learn all those steps from the beginning, it might be a bit of a challenge. So I think those are some of the things that we've done to try to keep things together as the market was changing.
Thanks, Jarrett. Jessica, how about you? You got an example to share?
Yes, I do. So I think, it's really important right now to stay informed. I'm sure all of us are reading the news more than we usually do, but especially regarding our industry, because things change really rapidly, especially with lending. So their guidelines are changing and loans are going away overnight. I had a deal fall apart on a listing on like day 29. The buyer's loan disappeared. They were getting a non-QM mortgage, which is a non-qualified mortgage. Most of us probably didn't really think about those or maybe even knew what they were before this happened, but that's when people aren't your total in the box type of buyers. And these guys were qualifying just on their tax returns. So they were a non-QM mortgage. Their lender was assuring me their bank was going to open up in a week. They were going to get new pricing, be able to move forward. And it just didn't sound right to me. So I really dug in and did my research, called my contacts in lending to see if this is true, what's really going on, and came to my own conclusion that this was not going to happen. And it didn't happen, but we issued them a notice to perform. We had a backup offer in place that was about to make an offer on another property. So time is everything in real estate. So you just really want to be informed about what's going on for your buyers and for your listings with lending, because it can fall apart at the last minute. So have your backup plan going, be in touch with those backup buyers, know where they're at. We issued that notice to perform. They did not write an offer on the other property. We got them into contract because the other people had to back out, and we're currently in contract, and it looks like they're going to release their contingencies today. So just being really, really informed about what's going on in our industry daily.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jessica. Nestor, how about you? An example for the audience.
Yeah, I've got a good example. I had a client that was selling a home in Pacifica, and they were really worried about, COVID-19, even as far back as like January when it was still in China. And they basically said they started sheltering in place months before like everyone else. And they basically gave me the keys to their house and said they left the cars in the garage, they left the clothes in their closet, and they were like, here are the keys, Nestor. We are leaving. We're going to San Diego, sell the house, And so that was kind of my first time having to deal with that much in a sale. Everything from packing, shipping their stuff down to San Diego, all of that. And along the line, these people were kind of freaking out in like January. So along the line, there was a lot of times where they were just like, oh my God, are we still going to be able to do this? Are we still going to be able to do this? And I'm like, we just got to keep moving forward. We just got to keep moving forward. You're already out of the house. We already packed everything. We already shipped everything. We already got all the work done. We just need to go on the market. And then right as we're, about to go on the market, like a week before, real shelter in place hits. And really, now it's like, now they're looking at me and they're like, should we really go on the market? Luckily I had kind of like put word out to a couple agents just here and there, just kind of, through hearsay, hey, I got this listing coming up, And this agent calls me, another listing comes up in the same neighborhood, which they don't come up very often. And she says, hey, my clients are about to make an offer on this property, but I remember you telling me about yours, and we drove by and yours looks way better. Like, can we get in? Right? And I said, yeah, of course, and we were, they saw it, they loved it. We got an all cash offer, we got it done. And, this was like really, really early in like the shelter in place. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a success. And there wasn't like too much, I didn't have too much data to kind of tell my clients. This is right at the beginning. So I couldn't, I was just confident that we needed to go on the market. But now, we've been in shelter in place long enough that you can, confidently say to your clients like, hey, houses are still selling. But even back then, when it was just starting, I was just like, we got to move forward,
Great. Thank you, Nestor. Francesca.
Yeah, like Nestor was saying, data has become so important. I'm like a big Aculus nerd now, thanks to Kelly Griggs. But I've actually been really surprised how many first-time buyers have reached out to me since SIP has been announced. I really thought, especially for first-time home buyers, that they'd be nervous, but I think a lot of them that are secure and in a position to are really seeing the opportunity. So that's been really interesting to me. one such client, we got them into a townhome in Santa Clara last week. These buyers were introduced to us by a past client. We onboarded them virtually. So like just over the phone, that's kind of how we normally do it. Try to set up a time to meet. We onboarded them virtually, and the very next day, shelter in place was announced. So then we re-onboarded them with everything in mind, and we started, looking for homes. So we wrote 2 offers. On the third offer, it was a home that had been sitting on the market prior to SIP, and despite that, when we did write an offer, about a week or 2 later, we still competed against another offer. So there was still competition. The market's still really strong, especially in the South Bay, I think. They ended up countering our COVID-19 addendum, and otherwise there were no other contingencies. But we agreed, and we still got it under the asking price, and I think under the real value. Escrow has been really smooth and normal. I use air quotes. I mean, we had a drive-by appraisal. That's not normal, but it was completed within a week. So we got into contract on the house last week, and it appraised successfully Monday. So, and then on the listing side, we have 2 new constructions that we're working on. Really interesting timing. Those will be ready any second now. But building during this time has its own list of challenges, but that's for another webinar.
Appreciate that. Right. So are you saying there's going to be a second one? Anyway, all right. So let's go on to our next question. And this is kind of a little multifaceted question, really about what you do, what you have in your toolkit, your arsenal, however you want to describe it. And so in being able to handle this transition quickly, give us a couple of examples of maybe something you had already that you have in your business, or something you have added new to your business that has allowed you to really pivot during this time. And we're going to start with Jessica first on this one.
Sure. So I've been using video for a long time, years. I've been doing real listing videos and walkthroughs for a long time. So I'm really comfortable communicating with my clients via video, sending them emails with videos in it. And now, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's how we're communicating with people. So I've already been doing that. I'm totally comfortable with it. I've done, live walkthroughs with clients that are in other countries with my cell phone on Skype before, and Zoom, and just I've done that before. So that I'm doing obviously a lot more of it. But I'm kind of leaning into that because I feel like it's really everything these days about how we communicate with our clients. Real estate is a contact sport, as some people have said, but we can't really contact people in person anymore. So this is the next best way to do it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Nestor, give us something you've either have or something you've adopted new that's allowed you to adapt and pivot.
Well, yeah, I have a pretty good example. It's this green screen that's right behind me, right? Like I bought this thing on Amazon probably like 3-4 months ago, and never set it up. I was like, one day I'll get around to, making some really cool videos with this green screen. And I just kind of had it sitting there collecting dust. And then this happened, and I'm like, oh, time to break out the green screen. And yeah, I think it's super important moving forward, right? Even the title reps are using video now. So if you're not using video, I mean, there's so many tools available, right? It's there's kind of no excuse for it. And far as like new things that I want to do, I want to, like, I was reading online and said, this is a great time to make like the ultimate drip campaign. And I want to do like a video drip campaign. So that's something I'll be doing, with the next 30 something days that we're going to be having sheltering in place. So.
Fantastic. Thanks. We're going to go question to you, Francesca. Same thing. Something that you were either doing prior or you've adopted now that has allowed you to pivot.
Yeah. So you said the word toolbox, and so I thought of that immediately, and I was like, in my toolbox I have amazing vendors. For example, my stager Noelle from Millennial Design Studio, he helped my sellers. We closed during SIP, right when it was put into place. He helped my sellers sell their furniture and move out after SIP was put into place. He just went above and beyond. Like Wells Fargo every day. That way we can just make sure that we can sign and
We've got a little bit of technical
just make sure
with Francesca. So I'm gonna move on to Jarrett right now, and we'll try to get Francesca back. Jarrett, same thing. The question is, what do you got in your toolbox now, or that you've adopted recently that allowed you to pivot?
I think this is a great question, and I loved Nestor's enthusiasm when he mentioned that it's a great time to think about a drip campaign that you maybe wouldn't have the time for in other situations. I would encourage anybody to work with their cornerstone title reps to get mailing lists and farming lists. We can't contact people the same way that we used to, but there are a lot of ways that we used to contact people that are still really effective. But you need to just start somewhere and start working on it. So we've switched to leveraging mail more recently in the last couple of weeks, because we want to tell people about the exciting things that are possible. And one easy way to do that is through mail. So I think, the wheel is already invented in many ways. Different wheels aren't as effective today as they were previous days, but don't try to kill yourself reinventing the wheel. Just pick up the things that currently work in the environment that you know quite well.
Fantastic, thank you. Hey, let's go back to Jessica. Francesca. Let's go back to you on that same question. You kind of cut in a little out. We did hear you. Your team.
Is this better now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my Wi-Fi is actually faster on my phone than my house. So yeah, I just want to say, yeah, your team, I rely on them so much. And I actually used this opportunity at the beginning when things were a little slow, things were up in the air. I reached out to all of my vendors. I just checked in on them, especially because their businesses were really up in the air. And I asked if they wanted reviews or if there's anywhere where I could leave them like a positive review, and just making sure, to take care of your own, because you're only as strong as your team. So that's something that I did. And I think it's something that's really easy to do kind of in this downtime is check in and do that housekeeping.
Great. Thank you. And by the way, that was pivoting right there live. So let's go to the next question, which is, a favorite quote of mine from Maya Angelou is that hope and fear cannot occupy the same space. Invite one to stay. So we're going to go to Nestor first. What advice would you give to our audience based on what you're experiencing that you believe will help them survive and maybe even thrive in this marketplace?
Yeah. So, hope and fear cannot occupy the same space. Well, yeah, that's because, I've always heard the saying, you got to turn fear into faith. And it's like you're either putting the faith into the fear or you're putting the faith into hope. And I would much rather believe that things are going to be good and things are going to work out, than to be in fear. You just gotta kind of make a decision and like declare it to the universe. If prayer is what you need, if that works for you, then that's good. And just, trust your intuition. There's a lot of misinformation going on. There's a lot of, there's a lot of people in fear, and us as the professionals, we have to be like the anchor. We have to be like the solid rock that our clients are depending on right now. And I'm just kind of like eternal optimist too. So I'm always going to look at the bright side, and there's a lot of good things coming out of this. So you just got to kind of change your mindset, and I think that's just regularly in real estate. That's kind of a big issue, is mindset. And even with this going on, it just makes it more of a time to work on that. So
I agree 100%. Let's go, Francesca. Let's go to you next. Same thing. What advice do you have for the audience based on your experience that you think will help them not only survive but thrive?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add and make sure that I said this. And if you're able to show homes right now, that's okay. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. And that in mind, there are alternative ways to get a paycheck within our business if you're not comfortable or able to show homes. The first one, and this is something that a pipeline that I've been wanting to grow for a while, is outgoing referrals. Focus on your friends scattered around right now. You're checking in on them anyways, and send referrals out. I just sent a referral out to my old roommate in Idaho. I've never been to Idaho, but I'm going to make some money off of a house sold in Idaho. So you can find different networks. I use the 30 Under 30 network. You can use Lab Coat Agents. That's a good Facebook group that you can connect in, and you can collect a referral fee without having to leave your couch. You don't need to be showing homes. You don't need to be contacting people. Another one, convince another agent to come to Coldwell Banker and get referral rewards. I think Coldwell Banker is doing a really amazing job supporting us. Not all agents elsewhere are getting the support they need right now. And I think a lot of agents are doing a lot of introspective work and really reflecting on their business, and where they're working is a huge part of that. I think Ryan Gorman has been one of the most outspoken leaders, CEOs, keyword there. So recruiting just makes a lot of sense right now as agents are reflecting on their business. So those are just some alternatives to keep your business alive and thriving in less conventional ways. I think now is the time to get creative. And above all, you need to stay true to yourself and just do what feels right and keeps you safe.
Appreciate that, Francesca. Jarrett, same thing for you. What advice would you give the audience right now?
Back to the title of this presentation, the really neat part about being in real estate in California is that we are all self-employed, and we have a lot of control over whether or not we are going to work each day. So I think that it's really exciting to be in a situation where we have so much control over our own employment at a time when others don't. And to really recognize the gift that is, and to utilize the resources that are around us. I think as Jessica was, or as Francisco was saying, the organization that's supporting us has, I've seen an above and beyond effort to try to keep us informed on a daily basis over the last couple of weeks, if needed, as things have been changing, and to try to respond with forms and other things to make it happen. And I think that's why I'm so excited about what's happening going forward. We can help meet the needs of people that are having real life events happen that still need the liquidity that can happen from selling their house, or that literally need to shelter in place. And we get to be a part of that. So it's an exciting time, I think, and being self-employed right now is a great part of it here with our team in blue, I guess.
Yes, love it. Jessica, same question to you. What advice could you give the audience to help them?
Sure. So I've always focused on mindset. It really is everything in life, and especially real estate. It can help you grow your business, and it can help you attract the type of people that you want to work with. So mindset's super important. So right now, I think don't focus on things that you can't control. There's a lot that's out of our control. We can't control when the shelter in place is going to be lifted. We can control what we focus on, and take this time to learn new things. It's kind of exciting. There's all this new technology, and things are moving faster along this realm than it would have before. And have fun with it if you can. Some ideas I've been having just to get in front of clients and friends and network is to organize a Zoom call with maybe something that you're good at. Like if you're really good at cooking a specific thing, you do a Zoom call with all your friends and your clients and do a little tutorial. You could do an exercise class, yoga, meditation, mixology class, whatever's fun to you, maybe a gardening, something, but have fun with it and be creative, and let this, use this time to be creative and focus on learning new things.
Fantastic. All right, let's start going back with Francesca on this one. And what kind of questions are you getting from your clients today during SIP? And if you could share a couple of how you're responding to those. So a couple, you know, either the most common or maybe two, and then what are your response?
Yeah, I'm getting the same question that I always get. It just has a little bit more weight now, which is how's the market, in which I want to respond. You tell me, but right, I don't have a crystal ball. You know, it's changing every day. But like Nestor said, we're getting more and more data. So again, Aculist, my best friend. Thank you, Kelly Griggs. And I'm just making sure that my clients are getting the correct information, the correct data. They're not listening to friends or their friends, uncles, you know, or the media, right? The media is always a couple months behind. So I just want to make sure that when they're asking me that question, I have the numbers to back it up, because it's a very weighted question right now. And I'd say that's my number one question always.
Got it. Jarrett, how about you? What questions are you getting from your clients and how are you responding?
I think any question that you're getting from clients are good questions, because they're opportunities to talk with somebody who's obviously interested to hear something about what is going on in your business. If I look back on recent questions, I mean, frequent questions from buyers include things like showing instructions and whether or not you can go and actually see different houses. There's a lot more uncertainty there as far as how buyers are viewing homes at times, and making sure that they can follow whatever guidelines are in place. There's a broad variety of personal perspectives I've found on the current events among my clients, and so I try to just answer any of these types of, you know, current event related questions as accurately as I can. And if I'm not the right person to answer a question they have, I'm pretty happy to refer them to the right person, depending upon what their question is.
Perfect. Jessica, how about you? What questions are you getting and how are you responding?
I've gotten literally, our home still selling? Is anybody buying a house? Yes and yes. So, I mean, some people really don't think that anything's happening right now, and there's a lot going on. Our market didn't freeze. There's still homes that can sell with multiple offers. So I just data and facts and information. I'm not going to say what's going to happen in the future. The only thing I know for sure is what's happening right now and what happened in the past. So I just talk about where we were, where we are right now, and give them the facts. Like everybody else is saying, just go with the facts. Don't try to guess what's going to happen in the future.
Fantastic. Thank you. Nestor, how about you? What questions are you hearing from your clients and how are you responding?
It's almost the same as how's the market. Is it a good time to buy or sell? And should I wait? And I kind of always have the same standard answer, and I use it because it's true. And it's, you know, we know more about today than we know about tomorrow. So today, houses are still selling. Today, interest rates are still low. And so, once again, just kind of like what everyone else said, you know, we tell them the data of what's going on right now. I don't try to make predictions. I tell them if you need to move now, if you want to stop paying rent now, then it's a good time.
Fantastic. Just for our audience, I just want to let you know, if you have questions for the panel, we have a few more questions for them that I'm going to be asking, but if you have questions for the panel, you can use the live event Q&A and type in your questions and we'll address them at the end. We do have some more time. I do have a couple more questions that we're going to go over, but then we will have time to be able to answer your questions that were there. So at this time, I'm going to go back to a question that I kind of skipped, but now that we have the time. So if we think that this is eventually, we're not going to go back to where we were before. Our lives will never be the same. But so what tools or what is it that you're going to use, or what are you seeing in our industry that you think will adopt forever? Like it's just going to be part of our business now. What are you guys seeing there? And let's start with Jared on this one.
I think there will be a much stronger preference in the future for homes to be sold vacant. Until there's more certainty and clarity here, I think there's many areas that we're seeing, from the lending side to the inspections to work being done on the homes, that it is much easier to work with a vacant home where it's just the property and not the people. So that's something that I could anticipate, and I think as a buyer, I would be much more comfortable in a home. Also, I might be more excited about a home if I thought that it was vacant and somebody just walked around and sprayed Lysol in it right now, as opposed to somebody had just finished eating or something like that. So. Great.
Jessica, how about you? What do you think is that we're doing now that is going to be here to stay forever?
I think that people and consumers want convenience more than anything, and sometimes real estate can be a little clunky. So with things happening virtually and remotely, I think they're going to demand more of that. If they don't have to drive all the way over there to do this or that, and you can do a video conference instead, more people might want to do that, especially after traffic picks up again. So, I've done a virtual home inspection, walkthrough home inspection, and use the screen share to put up photos so we could all talk about it. I'm doing a walkthrough virtual showing today. So I think people will want more video and virtual things to happen, that they don't actually have to go somewhere to do something. It'll save us so much time. You don't have to drive, from the Bay Area. If you're buying a house in Aptos, you're like, I'll just get on the video. We can have the conference that way. I think people are going to demand that.
I agree. Nestor, how about you? What do you think's here to stay besides your green screen?
Yeah, the green screen is staying. And then along with that, Zoom. I think that, I was speaking with a lender who's a good friend of mine, and he said, from now on, my first meeting with a client is always going to be a Zoom meeting. No more driving to the coffee shop, wasting money on parking, bridge toll sometimes. He's like, my first meeting is always going to be a Zoom meeting. And I think I kind of like the way that sounds too, just to kind of weed out the people who kind of like aren't that serious, right? Or aren't that ready. And also, I recently had a Zoom listing appointment, and you can have like your whole script right there. You can have like your objection handlers, it's great. And then the next time you just give them a range of price, and then you're like, all right, well, we can narrow that range once I see the house in person. I'll bring and get the contract signed there in person. But you could do it on DocuSign too. So yeah, I think the Zoom is definitely here to stay. And just for me personally, I think that I'll be operating on a leaner budget as well. I don't know if forever, that'll be forever to stay, but I think a lot of people are going to be like operating on a leaner budget, and I'm going to be trying to keep my business lean. So, yep.
Francesca, how about you? What's here to stay? What are we adopting forever?
Yeah, I agree with the other panelists. I think it's just the digitization of our businesses, whether it's our own and doing Zoom meetings and pre-qualifying people. But I think also, larger tech companies are seeing that that's possible. My background after college, and I was working in publishing, I worked from home, and that was my norm. I've never really had to go to it. I think it's work Lewis, but I think a really good example of an organization adapting to these digital times is Silvar. So the Silicon Valley Association of Realtors. They've been doing a great job. They've been doing virtual tours on our weekly tour sheet. We just hosted a webinar in place of our regular monthly meeting that normally gets like 50 people, and we had over 200 people tune in. So I think I really look forward to just the accessibility that we call. That's exciting.
Fantastic. All right, this is our last question for our panelists. Then we're going to go to some Q&A. We've got a bunch of questions in the live Q&A. So if you have them, you better add them in. So we're going to start. Let's start with Jessica on this one. In any challenge, all right, light always finds a way to shine through. Could you share with our audience either something personal or professional where have you experienced the light shining through for you?
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of good things happening because of this, a lot of beautiful things happening because of this. I'm in more contact with my friends and my family than I was before, way more contact. You know, some friends, some very good friends of mine that I only see once, maybe twice a year. We've had several Zoom meetings together. We're having one tonight, and I don't normally see them in person ever because they live in different areas. So why did we not think of that before? Maybe you guys had, but I had not. So it's a really awesome way to see your friends and your family and be in contact with them, the people that are really, truly important in your life. We can do that now, and we have more time too to focus on what's really important to us. So it's connections with your friends and your family, with your clients you can make deeper connections with right now. So it's been really, really nice in a lot of ways.
Fantastic. Nestor, how about you? Where are you seeing some of that light shine through, either personal or professionally?
Yeah, some of the light that I see shining through is, you know, basically just kind of working with older agents. You know, I think that the older agents that are a little more susceptible right now, or they have people at home that are more susceptible, they don't want to like necessarily put their families in danger. You know, I had an agent in my office, she reached out to me and she was like, hey, I want to do a co-listing with you. And you can kind of be the man on the ground. And, you know, for me, that's a great opportunity to be of service. And I also really appreciate the opportunity. And I think that, you know, we may see more of that and more agents kind of heading towards retirement and kind of, you know, partnering up with a younger agent and letting them take care of the business, and they just live off the referrals, right? So, I mean, hopefully we see more of that. You know, I'll take the referrals.
Francesca, how about you? Where are you seeing that light shine through today?
Yeah, and I hope this is construed as light and not doom and gloom. But I heard this stat yesterday. You know, the CAR meetings are going on right now, and CAR expects an over 5% decline in membership next year, which is a nearly historic decline, and that's because we're going to have less new members. So I just feel like you could make it through this. You're successful in my book, right? So there is an after to this, and you need to plan accordingly. So to get through, I'm trying to kind of create light every day, stay excited, stay motivated. Right now, something I'm really excited. Bob and I are working on teaming up with our FHA and VA lender on a first-time home buyer webinar on Facebook Live. Something I never would have done ordinarily, and that idea spawned from me basically wanting to recreate the open house environment that I thrive in for our digital world. The idea is that buyers will come to me and I can give them great value, information, and I can convert them to clients. So I would focus on growing your business for tomorrow. There's going to be a tomorrow, even if it doesn't feel like it.
Got it. Thank you. Jarrett, how about you? Where are you seeing the light shine through personally and professionally?
Oh, well, I have the unique opportunity of spending quite a bit of time home right now with my son, who's 10 months old right now. This is James. And so that has been a complete light in my day. I would say getting the opportunity to see family every day has been a real treat. And I think that I see opportunities in the marketplace right now as well, because when there's any change, it does create an opportunity for anyone to adapt to it and move in that direction. So getting this guy to his virtual college someday, or whatever the future may hold, I just want to make sure that we can start getting his tuition put together and everything else. So Bitcoin or otherwise, however it goes.
Well. I'm just going to leave the camera on you and ask you this next question coming from the audience, since you got a showstopper right there. I understand the power of kids. All right. So what's the biggest difference in how you're finding new clients now versus, pre COVID-19?
Like others, open house was a big part of my business. So moving on to something that doesn't include open house is an adjustment for me. As I mentioned, we tend to try to pick a small number of things and do them reasonably well, not totally deficiently. I don't know what the right term is, but we try to excel at a small number of things. So we try to focus our energies down onto a couple of activities where we plan out what we want the goal to be. We used to do pop buys. Those are still available in different forms, but it might be slightly different than it used to be. So I think that meeting potential clients, they're still out there. There are lots of ways to meet them digitally and otherwise. It's just a matter of filtering through those and finding one where you can be yourself and be genuine and reach out to everyone.
Fantastic. Jessica, how about you next? And I'm seeing your mic's muted, but what are you doing differently today to find clients than you used to previously during COVID, before COVID?
I don't know if it's that different, but I'm doubling down more on my database and my past clients and my sphere of influence. I've been in the business over 15 years. So that's really where, even before this happened, I shifted my focus. Instead of always chasing new leads and brand new people, I kind of wanted to focus on people who will already know, like, and trust me. So now I'm doing that even more, and I really enjoy doing that. I want to reach out to these people. I want to talk to them, and just organizing things that we can all do together virtually has been kind of a fun project.
Fantastic. And Nestor, how about you? What are you doing differently now?
Yeah, what I'm now is using more of the free platforms like email, social media. Like social media is free. Like it's kind of like amazing that that's free. And I was kind of taking a break from social media for like the first 3 months of the year, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of over it. It's kind of too much for me. And then once this happened, I was like, oh man, it's like 3,000% spike in usage. It's free advertising. I was like, man, I gotta get back into it. So I think that's going to be heavily used moving forward. And then obviously things like this, like videos like this, I definitely want a copy of this for my YouTube. So yeah.
Yeah, well, we are recording this, and so you all will get that. Francesca, what are you doing now to find clients that you weren't doing before before COVID-19?
Yeah, and I think Jessica said about just doubling down on what you're doing. When this first happened, I felt so much pressure. I was like, oh my God, I need to start, mailers. I need to start door knocking. I need to do all these things that I've never done before. And then I realized that's not me. I'm never going to be comfortable, doing that. If I were to spend hours cold calling, I would be so just downtrodden after. So I really just focused on what I was doing and what I was comfortable with and what I was successful in, and then tried to just change and adapt that. So like, for example, I love open houses. I obviously can't really do them. So what I'm going to do instead is this first time buyers webinar, have a FHA VA lender. I know that those markets are really strong, so I feel really comfortable with that, and just adapt and kind of pivot what I'm already doing to what works now.
Got it. Then got another question in the chat, and we're going to try to take one more after this. So what are you guys, where are some of the struggles that you're seeing during this time, and what are you trying to do to overcome them? And why don't we start with Jared again?
Some of the struggles at this time, where to start? I think that technology is one of the biggest struggles, and the amount of time that it takes to do the things that we used to be able to do quite quickly has been a big challenge for everyone, regardless of age or anything else. So I think that trying to understand how we can make ourselves efficient in the tasks that we need to do, pick up the phone and call when we can avoid writing a lengthy email if it gets the same message across, something like that, just to try to make ourselves more efficient in a time when activities are taking longer.
Fantastic. I'm just trying to look for because we got time for probably one more question, maybe two. Most of it was on generating business and such, and you just all address that. Here's a good one that I think would be, and I think some of you have already alluded to it. What do you think the forecast is for the market going forward? And why don't we start with Jessica on that one? Oh, hold on, Jessica. I think you're muted.
There we go. Can you hear me?
We can, but we got a little bit of a feedback issue on you right now. Try that again. Go ahead, try.
Okay now?
Yeah, we still got. I'm going to pivot and I'm going to go to Nestor. Nestor, where do you see the forecast in the market? And then I'll come back to you afterwards, Jessica.
You know, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, initially I was thinking, oh, 2021, we may start to see a lot of foreclosures, you know, because of all the forbearances. And then now the lenders are coming out and saying, oh, well, no, there's not a balloon, you know, due at the end of your forbearance. We're going to like modify your loan, tack it on to the end. So I'm like, okay, well, that's going to avoid some foreclosures. So that's good. So, I mean, I think that gave me a lot of hope that there probably won't be a ton of foreclosures in 2021. I think that we're probably good for the next like 6 months in the market, kind of staying stable as it is. But I just don't know how much jobs will immediately be reopened when shelter in place is lifted, and how many companies will like not reopen. And I think that that'll obviously be a big factor. So I think it remains to be seen, but I'm pretty hopeful kind of through 2020. After that, I don't know. I don't think anybody does, right?
Francesca, same question to you next is, where do you think the market's going to go this year?
Yeah, again, no crystal ball, but I like to I like to look at indicators. So for me, builders and developers are a big indicator. Who's buying? You know, house flippers, the bigger developers. You know, Google is still buying, you know, those bigger companies. I think that's a really good indication of their confidence, and then also just consumer confidence in general. So we get a lot of that from National Association of Realtors. They do a lot of surveys, and just reading those to see where that confidence is, because that's really what's going to lead us, right?
Agreed. Jarrett, how about you? Where's your forecast for 2020?
Oh, I think there's been a market correction, and I think that the real estate market will continue to be affected by different factors out there in the economy. But I am confident that people will be buying and selling houses, much like any other time when life events continue to happen. So I think that whether the market's going up or going down, our goal is to be in touch with our clients, get them as current of information as possible, be in touch with current events, and help them to try to anticipate whatever they can do to get where they want to be. So I'm excited about the market, just because I know that it'll continue being a marketplace.
We're going to try to go to you, Jessica. If you can try to unmute your mic. Let's try this one more time. And where do you think 2020?
Is that working okay?
We're getting a little bit of a feedback, but let's try to work through it. If you got, give us a quick, where you are.
I think we're going to be mostly okay in Santa Cruz for 2020. There's still a lot of buyer demand. There was an intense buyer demand before this happened, and multiple offers were really on the rise. I mean, like 4, 5, 6, 10 offers were happening on properties. So that was before this happened, and the demand was really high. The demand definitely will go down, but we also have less listings out there for people to buy. I think our number of sales is definitely going to be down, but I don't necessarily think the prices are going to dip a lot this year.
Right. We have come up to our time, and I personally want to thank each and every one of our panelists Francesca Lambert, Jarrett Fishpaw, Jessica Wallace, and Nestor Icaza. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this. I have to thank my producers in the background, all of the managers on this, Greg Mann, Kelly Griggs, Brian McFadden, wonderful SSA from our office, Lisanne Kwok. We thank you and we appreciate it. So thank you so much. And have a great day, everybody. The recording will be live probably in about an hour or so. All you have to do is go log back on and the recording will be there for you. Thank you all again for being here and attending, and be safe, be healthy.
Thank you.
And we'll get through this together. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Greg.
Thank you.
Guys.
Bye. Bye, everybody.